Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. This month was a significantly different reading experience for me than it was compared to May, and in my opinion it was significantly better. At the end of my May wrap-up, if you lasted through that entire thing, I said I wanted to slow down my reading a little bit, and I was hoping to enjoy reading a little bit more, and I can definitely say that both of those things are true for the month of June. I read 4 books this month, which is like half of what I read in May, but the books that I read I really enjoyed for the most part. In terms of the videos that I made this month, I did a Read Harder challenge update. Basically for like my New Year's resolutions or reading resolutions for the year, one of them was to do the Read Harder challenge from Book Riot, and I did sort of like a little update in the month of June about which books I read for which challenge. Yeah, I'm basically on track to finish, but as I said in that video, the challenges that I have left are actually the harder challenges, and I haven't been doing a very good job of like researching books for those challenges, so I need to really get on that. And then the other 2 videos that I posted this month were book reviews of 2 of the books that I read in the month of June, so this is going to be a significantly shorter video than it was in May. The first book review that I put up was for Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. This is a mystery book that I really enjoyed. I believe I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. If you are someone who likes Agatha Christie, or you like basically like straight ahead British detective type mystery books, this is definitely one to put on your list to pick up soon. It was absolutely delightful. It was so much fun. I read it in 2 days because I was so just like pulled into the story. I knew that I needed to finish it right away to see how it was all going to turn out. But yes, I have a full review on this. If you're interested, it's obviously spoiler free, and I basically just rave about it for, like 5 minutes as I do. And then the other book review that I put up this month was for American War by Omar Al-Akkad. I think I will give this one as my favorite read of the month. It's really hard for me to pick between Magpie Murders and this one, just because they were so like completely different from each other and were such like completely different reading experiences for me. Like Magpie Murders was one of those like completely engrossing, sped through it in as few sittings as possible sort of books. This one was a much slower read, but I felt like it was a really deep read. Again, I talk about all of this in my review, but basically it made me think about a lot of things really deeply, and it's hard to not completely love a book that does that. So yeah, definitely check out my review if you're interested in like what I thought specifically. Again, no spoilers. Alright, so there are 2 other books that I need to talk about. The first one is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I always have Pinborough. I don't know why I have such a hard time with her last name. Anyways, this is sort of like a suspense book, and it's one of those suspense books that's really difficult to talk about because I feel like the ending is going to make it or break it for people. So in this story, you are following this woman named Louise. She is a single mom. She moves to this new town. She has a new job working as a secretary at a doctor's office, and she decides that like on one of her first nights there, she's going to go out to a bar to sort of celebrate and enjoy herself. She ends up meeting this guy and making out with him, and then she goes to work the next day and she realizes that that guy she met at the bar was the doctor that she's working for, and also that he's married. And then eventually Louise ends up meeting his wife, and so she has to sort of like pretend that she, didn't make out with him at a bar one day, but then she realizes that something's sort of going on, and I don't really want to say more than that. But yeah, this was a really interesting reading experience. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars because this story was really compelling. I needed to finish this book and I needed to find out what exactly was going on, but I found everyone like completely infuriating. Like I don't understand any of the choices that they made. They all seem like just poor decisions, but also there are some extra elements to this book. Like I said, it's really difficult to talk about this because part of the fun of suspense books like this is seeing how things unfold, and the way things unfold is going to be very divisive. This book is being marketed as having a twist that you'll never be able to guess. And so going into this, I was already skeptical because I was like, I don't know. I feel like books that have been marketed that way recently, I've been able to basically guess every time. But this one I definitely did not. And I think that is worth reading just for that aspect alone. If you're someone who likes suspense books and you feel like you haven't really been surprised by an ending in a long time, this one might be worth picking up. So yeah, I don't know. I can't necessarily like wholeheartedly recommend it because I know for a fact that it's going to piss off some people, but I don't know. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to get that reaction out of people. So I don't know. And then the other book that I read this month was IQ by Joe Ide. I picked this one up because a lot of people over at Book Riot really enjoyed this book. It's also a mystery book, and I sort of just like had it on my radar for a really long time, but then it sort of like fell off my radar, and then I found out that this fall there's actually going to be a sequel, so I decided to finally pick this one up to see if I wanted to keep going with his book. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, or maybe 3.5 out of 5 stars. I don't remember exactly. This is basically like a straightforward mystery book, so if you enjoy mystery books, then this is definitely one worth checking out. It takes place in East Long Beach, which is sort of this like poorer part of Los Angeles. You're following this character named IQ, who is really, really smart. The way this book is sort of described in the synopsis is, well, it's true. I wouldn't say it's necessarily accurate because there's sort of like two parallel storylines going on here. You get to see IQ sort of his life prior to becoming this sort of amateur detective, and then you get to see him currently solving a case. So there's a lot in his backstory that's really provided that I think is really compelling. The mystery itself is relatively straightforward in my opinion, but I think that Joe Ide does a really good job of crafting IQ as a character. The mystery that he's solving is there's basically this rap mogul who believes that someone's trying to kill him because he was like attacked by what seemed to be like a killer dog, like a dog who's been trained to kill that rapper specifically. Yeah, like I said, that mystery was relatively straightforward. It was nothing like super surprising or engaging. What I found really engaging was learning about IQ prior to this point in time. And there's also like another character in here who is sort of like a frenemy. And their relationship is really interesting, and you get to see sort of like how they became friends and how they became sort of enemies and got to this sort of frenemy situation here. I'm really interested to see how the second book goes. This is a solid start, but it seems like they're going to be digging deeper into the backstory, especially in the sequel. Like, this sequel synopsis is all about the backstory stuff that they talk about in this book. So yeah, again, if you're someone who likes mystery books, then I think that this is a good one to pick up. It's not like one of the best mystery books I've ever read, but it has a lot of potential to provide really interesting characters in the future. I think that Joe Ide does a really good job of sort of like laying that foundation in this first book, and I can definitely see that he is going to be building on that in future books. So yeah, those are all of the books that I read this month. There was a bit of a mystery theme, if you couldn't tell. If you missed I think it was in the review of Magpie Murders, I talked about how I'm now hosting a podcast. It's called Read or Dead. It's on part of the Book Riot podcast group. I don't know, it's not like an official group, but it's with Book Riot. It's basically a mystery thriller podcast. We have 2 episodes that are out right now, and it comes out every other week. So if you haven't checked it out already, I'll have a link down below so you guys can check it out. It's also available on like iTunes and various other podcast catchers out there. Yeah, a bunch of you guys told me that you've already checked it out and are really enjoying it, which makes me so happy. The first episode was basically like an intro. We talked about some newsy items, some books that we're really excited about. And then the second episode, we talk about the definitions of like mystery, thriller, and suspense, and provided some recommendations of books that fall under those categories. So yeah, again, if you are a fan of mystery, thriller, suspense books, definitely check out that podcast, and definitely, feel free to let me know if you have any suggestions for future episodes, because we are always willing to take those suggestions. The second episode was actually a suggestion for someone, so that just proves the point that we are willing to take suggestions on the things that we should talk about on the podcast. So yeah, that's everything that I read this month. If you've read any of these books, definitely let me know down below what you guys thought of them, or feel free to just leave a comment down below letting me know how your reading month went. If there was a particular book that you really enjoyed this month, definitely leave that down in the comment section as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.